Suspicions trickle through the village, cold and creeping like a winter rain. The farmers and the villagers whisper to each other. Did anyone help Hunter disconnect the still? How much did Cassia know about Xander destroying the cure? The village leaders decide to keep Xander and Hunter locked away while evidence is gathered. The next vote will decide what happens to them. I'm split into 3 segments. Like Oker's muddy star, I would be with Kai in the infirmary. Should I be with Xander in the prison? Should I be sorting for the cure? I can only try and do all 3 and hope that these pieces of myself are enough to find something I can make whole. I'm here to visit Xander, I say to the prison guard. Hunter looks up as I pass and I stop. Seems wrong to walk by. Besides, I would like to talk to him. So I face him through the bars. His shoulders are strong and his hands are, as always, marked in blue. I remember how he snapped those tubes in the cavern. He looks strong enough to break through these bars here, I think, and then I realize that he's past breaking through. He seems broken, in a way I didn't see even at the carving, when Sarah had just died. Hunter, I say, very gently, I just want to know, were you the one who disconnected Kai all those times? He nods. Was he the only one, I ask? No, he says, I disconnected the others too. Kai was the only one who had someone visiting him often enough to notice. How did you get past the medics? I ask. It was easiest at night, Hunter says. I remember how he used to track and kill all those stay hidden in the cabin to survive. And I imagine that in the infirmary in the village where the children played to him. And then, left alone in broad daylight, something snapped. Why, Kai, I ask. You came out of the canyon together. I thought the 2 of you understood each other. It had to be fair, Hunter says. I couldn't disconnect everyone else and leave Kai alone. The door opens behind me, letting in the light. I turn a little. Anna has come in, but she stays out of Hunter's line of view. She wants to listen, Hunter, I say. Some of them died. I wish I could get him to answer me, to tell me why. Hunter stretches out his arms, and I wonder how often he does the markings to keep them so bright. People dying is what happens if you don't have the right medicine to save them, Hunter says. And now I understand. Sarah, I say, you couldn't get the medicine for her. Hunter's hands tighten back into fists. Everyone's society rising, even people in the village. We're all doing everything to help the patients from society. No one did anything for Sarah. He's right, no one did, except Hunter himself. It wasn't enough to save her. And if we find a cure, then what? Hunter asks. Everyone flies away to the other lands. There've been too much of that, people going away. Anna comes a little closer so Hunter can see her. There has, she agreed. Tears come to his eyes as he puts his head down and weeps. I'm sorry, he says. I know, she tells him. There's nothing I can do. I'd leave him and go to Xander. You left Kai alone in the infirmary, Xander says. Are you sure that's safe? There are medics and guards watching, I say, and Eli won't leave Kai's side. So you trust Eli? Xander asks. The way you trusted Hunter? There is an uncharacteristic edge to Xander's voice. I'll go back soon, I say. But I had to see you. I'm going to try and figure out what the cure could be. Do you have any idea what Oker was looking for? No, Xander says. He wouldn't tell me, but I think it was a plant. He took some of the equipment we used to gather the bulbs. When did he change his mind on the cure? I asked. When did he decide that Cassia was wrong? During the vote, Xander says, something happened while we were out there that made him change his mind. And you don't know what it is. I think it has something to do with what you said, Xander tells me. You talked about how you felt like you were missing something, and that had something to do with flowers. I shake my head. How could he have helped Oker? I reached into my pocket to make sure I still had the paper from my mother. It is there. Also the microcard and the little stone. I wonder if the villagers will still let me vote. It's lonely, Xander says. What is? I ask him. Does he mean that it's lonely in the research lab now that Oker's gone? Death, Xander says. Even if someone is with you, you still have to do the actual dying all alone. It is lonely, I say. Everything is, Xander says. I'm lonely with you sometimes. I didn't think it could ever be that way. I don't know what to say. We stand there looking at each other, sorrowfully, seeking. Sorry, I say finally. but he shakes his head. I missed the point somehow. Whatever it was he wanted to say, I did not listen the way he had hoped. The light coming through the infirmary windows is gauzy, gray. Kai's face looks very still, very gone. The bag drips neatly into the veins. He and Xander are both trapped, and I have to find a way to free them. I don't know how. I look at the list again. I've gone over them so many times. Everyone else is working to recreate Oker's chemistry cure. But I think Oker was right. That they were all wrong. The sorters, the pharmacies. We missed something. I'm so tired. Once I wanted to watch the floods come to the canyon, to stand at the edge and see what happened on the ground that was safe but shaking. I'd like to hear the trees snap away and see the water come higher, I thought, but only from a place where it could not reach me. Now I think it might be terrifying. Bright relief to stand on the canyon floor and see the wall of water coming down, and I know this is it. I'm finished. Before you could even complete your thought, you would be swallowed whole. As evening falls, Anna comes to sit beside me in the infirmary. I'm sorry, she says, looking at Kai. I never thought that Hunter. I know, I say, neither did I. The vote will be tomorrow, she tells me. For the first time, Anna sounds old. What will they do? I ask. Xander will likely be exiled, she says. He could also be found innocent, but I don't think that will happen. The people are angry. They don't believe it. Oker told Xander to destroy the cure. Xander's from Providence, I say. How is he supposed to survive in exile? Xander's smart, but he will never lived out in the wild before, and he will have nothing when they send him away. I had Indy. I don't think, Anna says, that he is supposed to survive. If Xander is exiled, what will he do? I'll go with him, but I can't leave Kai. We need Xander for the cure, even if I do find the right plant. I don't know how to make the cure, or what best to give it to Kai. If this is to work, it will take all three of us, Kai, Xander, and me, and Hunter. I ask softly. Donna, the best we can hope for Hunter, she says, is exile. I know she had other children who'd come with her through the carving. Her voice sounds sad, as if Hunter were her own child, the very last of her blood. And then she hands me something, a piece of paper, real paper, the kind that must have carried with her all the way from the cave in the carving. It smells like the canyon, here, in the mountains, and it makes me ache a little and wonder how Anna could stand to leave her home. These are the pictures of the flowers you wanted, she says. I'm sorry it took me so long. I had to make the colors. Just finish them now. So you'll have to be careful not to smear the plants. I'm stunned that she did this, with everything else that must have been on her mind tonight. I'm touched that she still believes me capable of sorting for the cure. Thank you, I say. Under the flowers she has written the names. Flora, Paintbrush, Miss Mora, Lily, and others, of course, plants and flowers. I'm crying. I wish I weren't. I wrote a lullaby for so many people, and now I may lose almost all of them. Hunter, Sarah, Kai, my mother, Xander, Bram, my father. Euphoria, Anna wrote underneath as she drew a spiky-looking bush with small, cone-like flowers. She painted it yellow and green. Paintbrush, red. This must have been one I've seen in the canyons. Miss Mora Lily. It is beautiful white flower with red and yellow coloring deep down inside the petals. My hands know what I've seen before, my mind does. I'm reaching into my pocket and pull out the paper my mother had sent, recognizing the meaning in the shape. Remember Indy's wasp nest, how it had space inside, and I pulled the edge of the paper out, and then I know. I hold the paper flower in my hand. My mother made this. She cut and tore the paper carefully, so that the three pieces fan out from the middle like petals. It's the same as the flower in the picture, white. 3 petals at the edges crumpled in a point like a star. I realized it is also I saw printed in the earth. This is what Oker was trying to find. You saw me take out the paper flower when I put the voting stone inside. Anna's pictures tells me the name of the flower is Miss Mia Lily. But I never heard my mother speak its name. It's not a new rose or an old rose or a spring of Queen Anne lace. What other flower did she tell me about? I'm back in my room at our house in Oria, where she showed me the blue satin square from the dress she wore at her banquet. She'd recently returned from traveling out to the different provinces to investigate rogue crops from society. The second grower had a crop I've never seen before, a white flower, even more beautiful than the first, she says. Sigillo lilies, they're called them. You can eat the bulb. Anna, I say with my heart racing. Does Messamia lily have another name? If it does, it might account for the problem in our data. We've been counting the flower as two separate data points, but in fact it's a single variable. Yes, Anna says. After a pause, some people call it Sigillo lily. Pick up the data upon search for the name. There it is. The properties are all the same. One flower reported under two different names. Now, with the names combined, it rises right up to the top potential ingredient. It was a critical element mistake made by those gathering the data, but we should have noticed it earlier. How did we miss it before? How could I have failed to recognize the name when my own mother had told it to me? You only heard it once, I remind myself. That was long ago. How does it grow, I ask. We should be able to find some not far from here, Anna says. It's early in the season, but it could be in bloom. She looks at the paper flower in my hand. Did you make that? No, I said my mother did. It's almost dark when we finally find them, a little field away from the village and the path. I dropped onto my knees to look closer. I've never seen flowers so beautiful. It's simple white bloom. 3 curved petals coming from a separate leaf stalk. A little white banner while I'm writing, not to surrender, but to survival. I pull out the crumpled paper flower. I look at my hand shake. I can tell it's a match. This flower growing in the ground is the one my mother made before she went still. The real thing is much more beautiful. But it doesn't matter. I think of Kai's mother, who painted water on stone, who believed the important thing was to create, not capture. Even though the paper lily is in perfect rendering, it's still a tribute to the beauty that my mother tried. I don't know whether she intended the flower as art or a message, but I chose to take it as both. I think, I say, this might be the cure.